Everybody, this is me again, Pat Windrow at the Cable Easel with something very, very special. And it's because the nature preserve of Setauket has been very cooperative and brought in a real live animal, Elizabeth Venuti. I was going to say something else, but Elizabeth Venuti came in with this wonderful owl. And I think that you will probably be as intrigued as we all are here in the studio to have this guest, which is not only very beautiful, but also extraordinarily well behaved, and even though it doesn't look at all like a human, is behaving somewhat like a human. This little fellow is not given a name because she is in the realm of wild animals, and the naturalists do not name wild animals because that implies possession of such an animal, and we do not own these wild animals. But this one was gotten when he was a baby, and Elizabeth got her when she was extremely little, and apparently something took place between the two of them which is called imprinting. I was explained this just a moment ago, that when this little baby owl was brought in, the first thing she saw, is that right, Elizabeth? You explain it.
Yeah, imprinting is a process that all animals go through. When their eyes start to focus, whatever they see at that point, that's what they believe they are. And since the first thing that this owl was able to focus on was a human being, she now believes that she is a human being, and she does not accept other owls as her own species. She thinks humans are her species.
Ah. How does she relate to dogs and things?
She doesn't like them. They're a threat to her. Just anything that invades her territory she considers a threat. So she tends to hiss and clatter at them when they come too close.
But she is pretty much got human sort of qualities, is that it? She lives out of doors, of course.
Yeah, she lives outdoors. You know, she lives in a large flight cage where she's allowed to move around. She does like to play, though. She has her toys that she plays with and carries things around. She's not acceptable to other people going into her territory, but when she's removed from her territory and brought into a place such as here or one of the school groups that we're doing, she's very much at home having a lot of people around her. She doesn't get nervous. That's what makes her good as an educational tool. Versus an owl that has been just injured, that comes into the center, that's not imprinted, they tend to be very, very aggressive. Mm-hmm. Great horned owls are the most aggressive birds. Nothing else will tangle with a great horned owl.
You mean in the wild? Mm-hmm. And so, Madam, hello, Bobo. I understand that her Latin name is Bobo
Virginialis.
Virginialis. So, because she does not have a given name, I'm just going to refer to her. Bobo has no idea what I'm talking about.
Nope. She doesn't speak Latin.
She does not speak Latin. You've had this. How old is this lady?
This owl is a year old now. She came to me. The reason she's with us, because at the center we do have wildlife rehabilitators where we take in sick and injured and orphaned wildlife. This particular one was injured. One of the few that was actually not human influenced. Most of the injuries, 90% of them, are caused by humans, either accidentally or on purpose. But this particular owl, when it was born in its nest, the mother starts to incubate the egg as soon as the first one is laid. And as a result, they hatch at different times. When food supply is abundant, that's not a problem. All the young owlets will get fed. But if food supply is short, the older, more aggressive owlets will be very domineering and actually push the younger ones out of the way. And this particular one was one of the younger ones, got pushed out of the nest. Of course, she couldn't fly at that point, and she was knocked down out of the tree, and she broke one of her wings. It healed, but not 100%, so she can fly. but even not well enough to be on her own.
But she is never really ever going to live in the wild, is she?
No, because of the imprinting process. Since she was in a veterinarian's care, at that critical time when she was imprinting, she saw the veterinarians instead of another owl. So she thinks she's a person.
Well, now I'm not sure that this is that this show should get involved into this reproductive possibility of this lady. But if she lays an egg, it can't be fertilized because she doesn't sort of go for the fellas.
Well, she could be bred, and she would raise young because that's an instinct. And most of what an owl does is by instinct. As a rehabilitator, she's a valuable tool that way. If I get another young owl come in, I can put it with her and she'll take care of it for me, preventing imprinting on that owl. And therefore that young one will be able to be released.
I see. Well, but you told me a little bit earlier that she did lay an egg.
Yes, she did. She laid 2 of them this year.
Well, how very enterprising.
Yes.
And where is that egg?
Oh, I think it was blown out, and it's going to go on display at the center at one of our displays as a great horned owl egg. Of course, it was not fertile. She didn't have a male with her, so it would never have hatched.
Are you going to breed this lady?
No, I don't have a license to breed wild animals, especially birds. That involves another license. I'm only licensed as a rehabilitator, as a...
That's your title, a rehabilitator?
I'm wildlife rehabilitator. There are 2 of us at the center who are licensed to take care of sick and injured wildlife. And there's another license to keep the migratory birds, and there's still another license involved with the permanently injured raptors. So there's a lot of paperwork involved in keeping one of these animals.
You told me something about needing a license to do just about everything as far as wildlife is concerned. Is that, what do you mean by that?
It is, you are not legally allowed to have wildlife in your possession, any kind of wildlife, without a license. The reason behind that is because most people don't know how to take care of them, they don't feed them right, and they often get sick and they die in people's care. So what they're trying to do is license rehabilitators, and people are trained, and we go to seminars and learn how to take care of these things properly. And with any luck, more of them will get back into the wild that way.
But not Bobo.
No, she unfortunately is a
But
permanently
she's an
injured.
educator herself, isn't she?
Yes, she is. She goes into schools as well as family programs at the center, and hopefully we educate the public about these animals, and in turn that will prevent injuries in the future to other animals.
What's the major cause of these injuries?
Humans.
Yeah, what do we do to them?
Some are total accidents. They fly into big plate glass windows.
Yeah.
They hit the power lines. Those black power lines are very difficult for them to see. Car collisions is a very common injury that these birds get. Unfortunately, they like to hunt along the parkways and expressway. A lot of mice and things live in those, excuse us, live in those.
Are we boring you, madam? What? You know, Elizabeth, the last thing in the world I thought I would ever be doing is talking face to face with an owl. But she's very, is she intelligent?
No.
Is she dumb?
Well, I don't want to say dumb. The reason I say no that she's not intelligent, look at the size of her head. If I were to flatten down the feathers, you'd see her head is really not much bigger than a small orange.
Yes.
Look at the size of her eyes. They're very large eyes.
So the eyes occupying a tremendous amount of cavity?
And her ears being extremely large.
Oh, yes.
So a lot of her brain is taken up with the audio and visual senses. Therefore, there's not much room for a conscious thinking brain. So most of what they do is by instinct. They don't actually, you cannot teach her a trick. I can manipulate her instincts so she'll do what I hope I want her to do, but I cannot teach her, right? But she's not dumb.
No, I beg your pardon, Bobo. I didn't mean to imply that you were dumb or stupid or anything. You're beautiful. It doesn't matter how dumb you are. Tell me about your training for this sort of thing. Did you, are you considered an owl expert?
I don't consider myself an expert. I have a lot to learn, as with many things. Once you start reading and learning about these things, you learn there's so much more there is to learn. At the center, I'm the person that tends to deal with the birds that come into us, and I tend to do all the bird programs.
Are you an ornithologist?
No, I'm not an ornithologist. I'm working towards it, but I'm not one now.
Okay.
There's a lot to learn still.
Yes. But what you do, you actually are, you are what you might call on-the-job training here with this. Where does Bobo live?
Well, at the center we have a number of
Tell me where
animals.
the center is first of all.
The center is located off of Landing Avenue in Smithown.
Oh, I know where that is. You go down towards the water?
Right, as soon as you cross over the river, the center is located there, right there on the northwest corner. At the center, actually, the property runs all along the Nessaquag River. And we do have several large flight cages there.
And you're open to the general. You have to make an appointment, obviously, but you do receive people and as guests, and you take and there are tours and so on.
Right. The center is located on town. The town of Smithown owns the property, and Nature Conservancy owns the woodlands. The Environmental Center is a non-profit, private organization that leases the land from them. The facility is open from dusk to dawn. You can walk around on the preserve. That we just ask that people check in, let us know that you're on the property. We do run family programs and children's programs, especially on weekends and in the evening sometimes, and during the summer, as well as school groups coming to visit us. We have school groups 4 or 5 days a week sometimes coming in and visiting the center and visiting the animals that live there.
Now, what's the reaction to the children who come in there?
They
totally.
Well, they love it. Depending on the program that they happen to be doing that day, they all have their favorite animals, of course, that they like. We do have some domestic animals that they're allowed to touch and handle, and they do get to observe the wild animals up close. If they happen to be doing a bird of prey program, the owl is always a popular visitor to them.
Does it cost anything to come in?
To come and just walk around the preserve, no.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on a program, the price varies depending on the program and the materials that are involved in it. As far as school groups, we do charge per student.
How much?
It would, again, depending on what program that they're looking for.
Uh-huh.
Usually it's about $2.50 or $3 per student.
Mm-hmm. Well, so is this possibly the one place on Long Island where one can see this kind of an animal?
No, there are several preserves or people who do wildlife rehabilitation on the island. We're by far not the only ones.
But we don't have a zoo on Long Island, do we?
A zoo? No. You do have Holtzville Ecology Center. You have Theodore Roosevelt Bird Sanctuary, you know, and Volunteers for Wildlife that are all involved in this type of operation, and we do work closely with many of them.
Where is the when you talk about the center? Are you funded by anybody?
We are funded by the goodness of people's hearts.
Really?
Yes, we like I said, we are a private nonprofit organization. We are. It's because of the members who donate their time and effort to keep the center running. Volunteers. The center runs on volunteers. They're our main staff force and our main people that we call on to get things done around there.
Well, isn't the reason that you're all here and providing this remarkable visit is because I believe John Connell is a volunteer, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He helps with our school tour programs as well as he's actually on our board.
He directed this program for a long time, and that's one of the reasons that you're all here is because John's one of the volunteers. How many volunteers do you have?
Well, the numbers come and go. We have a core of probably about 25 volunteers that are there steadily, and others that come and go. You know, they come in just occasionally.
Well, I don't think I've ever been quite as fascinated. I find it very difficult to even talk to you, Elizabeth, because I'm so intrigued with what's happening here. But because I am a magpie in a way, I'm a sort of a bird myself, because I find that I can talk and work at the same time. But tell me about this, about the senses that this bird has. Are her eyes her most important asset?
Okay, owls, their eyes are very valuable to them, of course. They see in daylight just as we do. They don't see in color.
Okay.
Because all of their eye is involved in absorbing light. During the night, when they're hunting at night, you'll see that their pupils are open wide up, and they can hunt in almost total darkness. They must have some light in order to find their food. But
a cute profile. Oh, look at that little thing.
Yeah.
Oh, Bobo, do you want to look this way? Hello. There we are.
course, when food is buried under snow or under leaves, or if it's so dark that they can't see, then they rely on their hearing in order to locate their food. They have extremely large ears, one being slightly higher than the other. That gives them the ability to triangulate a sound. They'll listen very carefully and they'll keep moving their heads, and they can tell the time it takes for a sound to travel from one ear to the other. They can also tell which ear the sound went into first. And they slowly move their head around till the sound is equal in both ears. And when it's equal in both ears, wherever they're looking, that's where their food is. And then they can just simply fly ahead and grab onto their food. The reason they always know it's right ahead is because their eyes are fixed in the sockets. They're unable to move their eyes to the left or right, up and down as we can.
Well, I'm going to have to take a break for just a moment,
Okay.
Elizabeth. Can we don't go too far. We're going to continue with this almost instantly. Well, here we are back again with another part of the program, which is going to be the wind-up of part one of this owl information period that we're doing. And I'd like you now to listen to Elizabeth, who is going to tell us about some other birds at the center and more than likely present a videotape. Is that what you're going to do?
Yeah, we do have some pictures of some of the other animals we have at the center. They say we do have several different types of owls as well as the great horn. This is a picture of the Edith and Vale Blydenberg house, which the center is located on off of Landing Avenue in Smithown. This is one of our screech owls. This screech owl looks very similar to the great horn, only much smaller. This particular one has a leg injury and is non-releasable. All the birds that you see here are all part of our educational programs. They go into schools as well as family programs. This one is the barn owl, unfortunately another imprinted owl. This is a threatened species, which makes this imprinting so sad. This bird will not reproduce. So not only will you lost this bird in the wild, but any generations after this one. The barn owl is an excellent mouser, and they're great to have around. So they get their name barn owls from. They like to nest in old abandoned buildings, old barns. Here's an old barn here. This is the educational part of the center. This is where all the school groups come in, and they visit the animals that live down in that area.
That extraordinary one with the white face is a what?
That's a barn owl.
And this is the great horned owl.
This is the great horned owl.
And
yes.
and she's named that because of those funny ears,
right?
Which are not ears.
Right, her ear tufts, which are not ears. These are ear tufts here, giving her an illusion of having horns.
There they are. Oh, quick before they disappear. Let me see if I can get them, because she usually she seems to hold them down.
Right. Her ears, when she's threatened or she wants to feel aggressive, she'll raise them up. When she's relaxed, she'll lower her ears. They're very good at indicators.
So what is it that you did that made her raise her ears?
I just picked them up with my hand.
Oh, I see.
They're simply a group of feathers, and birds can move every feather in their bodies independently.
You're like fingers?
Yeah, when she's frightened, she'll fluff up all her feathers to make herself look larger. She'll stick her ear tufts up. She can make herself look twice the size as she is, just by moving her feathers. And when she's cold, of course, she'll fluff them up to keep her warm. And when she's relaxed, she'll lay her feathers down flat, or when she's hot or scared, she'll pull them in real tight. She'll stick her ear tufts up, and they help to camouflage her a little bit.
Does she have an audio recognition sound that she makes when you come into the room or something? Sort of like a greeting of some sort?
Well, yeah, she does. She does a little chatter to me. It just allows me. She's just communicating, saying hello to me, kind of. She also has several sounds that she makes. She makes clicks with her bill. She snaps her bills together. That's a threatening sound when she's unhappy about something. There she goes, fluff all up. That's a very relaxed mode. As well as her classical hoot. The great horned owl is the classic of the hoot owls. They make a very loud hoot, and it goes something.
Well, I'm going to ask you to do it.
I'm not real good at my hoot owl, but
well,
it goes,
hoot
it goes
anyway.
something like this. Hoo, 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 hoo. That's the sound she makes. And when
she won't respond to that?
In the fall or in late winter, when they would be communicating back and forth with her mate, then she answers me. The females tend to be quiet most of the year, except during breeding season. It's the males who do most of the hooting.
When is breeding season?
They start to breed in December. They're usually on their nests by February. And they have young by March. They're one of the earliest breeders. And what makes that really unique is the fact, like I was telling before, they don't make their own nests, so they get all the prime nest sites. They tend to take over old red-tailed hawk nests, and they'll use their nests. So when the red-tail comes to use his nest again, finds a great horned owl in it, he'll simply have to move on because he will not.
Does that mean there's a fight ensuing?
Well, if there's a fight, the great horned owl will win 9 out of 10 times.
Really? Why?
Yeah.
Because of the beak and so on?
No, just because she's more aggressive.
Oh, but she tried to sort of not fly away, but she was spreading her wings. How wide did that go?
Her wings are about 3.5 feet when she flies.
Really?
Yes.
Well, sometime during this program or the next, I'm going to. Oh, she yawned. Oh, that's hilarious. Sorry, we're boring you, madam. Maybe we could find some sort of. You don't seem to mind when she flaps her wings and sort of gets to you. So maybe before the end of this program, we'll get some sort of a sign that that we've got a few minutes left. Maybe we can in fact see that remarkable wing spread.
We can get her to open up.
And her funny little breathing pattern there is what? What is she doing?
Well, she's panting. She cannot sweat because she has covered with feathers. So just like a dog will, when they get a little warm underneath the hot lights here, she's a little warm, so she opens her mouth and she pants like a dog to help cool herself down.
Well, there's some nature fair coming up. Yes. By the way, in the first part of the program, I didn't give your organization the proper name. It's the Environmental Center of Setauket, Smithtown.
Right.
I hope that people will forgive me for not having remembered that because there was so much to do and so much to be aware of here. So you are the Environmental Centers of Setauket in Smithtown, and you're going to have a what?
Right. Every year we have a nature fair. It's a big open house is what it is. All the animals are out on display. We have crafts for children to do as well as entertainment for the adults. The whole thing is free. You can come down and come see us for the day. It's on Sunday, June 13th. We have, there'll be some vendors as well as the exhibitors. We have the state parks and DEC and a lot of other organizations come in with displays. To give you an idea of some of the things that are out there on the island to help you with wildlife as well as other things in nature. And we generally have just a real good time that day.
What is the possibility of seeing one of these owls in the wild?
In the wild, they're there. They are native to Long Island. We do have them. But their territories are so large, the chances of you being at the right place at the right time to actually see them are fairly slim unless you happen to know where their nest is.
What's her range?
Her average territory is about 2 square miles.
So she would never go to Brooklyn?
No, they're not migratory.
Even with a favorable wind? No, okay.
They're not migratory. They tend to stay in the same area all year round.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So that means that the chances of being able to see an owl means that the territories would overlap in another area. You say 2-mile range or something.
Yeah, well, depending on food supply, affects their territories a lot. If there's a lot of food around, their territories will be much smaller. If there's a shortage of food, their territories can be as large as 5 square miles. And they won't allow another pair on their territory.
Okay.
They will keep them off.
You are a wood carver, besides being a very well-informed and very entertaining guest here, because you seem to be able to make a tremendous amount of sense with your answers. I have interviewed people here many times, and I find myself sort of at a loss as to what they're really saying, but yours is very, very clear. Can I talk about your wood carving?
Sure, you can.
You see, it's on the monitor now. It's an absolutely remarkable piece, and I'm going to sort of hand it to you so that you can show the scale of it, because we know what a human scale is. Is Bobo going to be worried with the presence of this wooden fella?
Actually, in a while she may eat this guy.
Well, this is a piece that you say about 2 a year.
Right. At the center, we do have wood carving classes. Myself as one instructor. There is another instructor who does teach wood carving. This is one that I recently completed. This is a saw-whet owl, another native owl of Long Island.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes, they do come through here.
When you say come through, they're migratory?
Yeah, some owls are migratory.
Uh-huh.
But we do have saw-whet owls, mostly on the beaches. They're fairly common, like on Jones Beach along the Ocean Parkway.
Well, you know, we have 2 more minutes, and let me relieve you of this and put it over here in case. I don't want to disturb this lady and make her fly, but is there any way of being able to see this remarkable wingspan?
We can open up her wings a little bit.
You put on a glove, obviously, because she has very sharp claws.
Yeah, this is the business end of these birds, these talons. The beaks are fairly...
There she is. There's the voice. Now, see, isn't that a remarkable wingspan? It's just beautiful. Well, that's just fascinating. It's so beautiful.
What's really interesting about their wings, you notice when she flaps her wings, you don't hear any sound. They're silent flyers because these very soft edges on these wings. You won't hear an owl fly. Yeah, I know, I hear you.
That's a lovely little throaty sound. And well, I must say that it's absolutely wonderful. Well, Bobo, you've certainly shown off very well. You're going to be part of the part 2. We're going to do another program with you, Madam, and Elizabeth. If you'll linger for a while, maybe we can go on and have some more information about this really wonderful place. What Long Island has to offer. I hope everybody knows what is happening here on the island. It's a treasure, actually. Thank you for watching this time. Please be sure to watch the second part and the general denouement of this program. I'm going to finish this painting and give it to the Nature Center for them to either keep or to auction to raise funds. So thanks again. This is Pat Windrow at the Cable Easel with Elizabeth Venuti and Madam Owl. See you again next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.